Yes, 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 yes. Welcome back to the channel of one. We are back with Kingdom Season 2, the most anticipated series of this year, and definitely my favorite series or new series of 2019. And yes, that's counting The Witcher. I love you, girl, but I love Beiduna even more. Um, one of the things that I really do appreciate that Netflix has done with this series, what drew me to it and what drew me to react to it in the first place. This was the first, I believe this was the series that made me actually start reacting because I realized that it wasn't getting a lot of attention, and I decided, okay, what can I do? So I decided to, let me try to bring some attention to this amazing series because it really is an amazing series. And I noticed that there are only 6 episodes this season, much like last season as well, and I'm loving that they're sticking to that episodic number of episodes, right? Um, of course, this series will draw a lot of comparisons with the Walking Dead, and the first thing you'll notice is the difference in the number of episodes. And I think I've said it before many times. The longer the series the season each season gets, the more the writers are likely to suffer from writers fatigue, and the story will suffer, and the characters will suffer from fatigue as well. And I'm glad that they're sticking to 6 episodes so they can focus on telling a contained story and not drag it on, right? You know what I mean? Oftentimes, um a lot of the popular series, they tend to get in their own way. We see the same thing happen with Walking Dead. The number of episodes, the season's running on for far too long. I think it should have ended already. I stopped watching around season 4 or 5, I believe. And what I did like was Fear of the Walking Dead, oddly enough. Well, the first season. I understand it went on for several others, but I dropped out at season 2, I believe. What I liked about season 1 of Fear of the Walking Dead was the focus not so much just on the family and the characters, which I loved. I think that's what was missing from The Walking Dead. I hear it's gotten better, but I don't know because I stopped watching, and maybe I'll revisit it once the series itself has ended. But with Fear the Walking Dead, it focused on the the inevitable spiral, from civilization into madness and the slow creep to actually get there, right? So we were witnessing it in real time. And the reason why I fell off Fear the Walking Dead is because they it seemed as though they were trying to catch up to The Walking Dead, right? Here this pandemic broke out, as far as everyone else knew, they thought it was a pandemic, and the dead are coming back to life. And I mean, in the real world, I don't believe people would react that quickly to it, right? Um, and so I appreciated the slow burn to actually get there. People being in denial, the government trying to cover some elements of it up, right? And so you saw a different perspective from each person, from each family that we met in Fear the Walking Dead, and how they reacted to having these undead creatures walking around. And I definitely love that, especially the horror elements of it that you saw in bits and pieces there. And then in season 2, they decided, what the hell, hit the ground running. Let's just catch up and have zombies running all over the place. And that's where they lost me, right? And Kingdom here has walked that line beautifully because it's while there are zombies in the series, you don't get the impression that that is the focus of the series, right? The zombies are merely just lifelike weapons being used for as a political tool, right? And Prince Li Chang, of course, who himself attempted to usurp the throne for himself, has found himself in a predicament, but he has grown over the course of just 6 episodes, and it felt organic. It didn't feel forced. He has grown to the point where he's gotten to know his people, and he wants to save his people from this Hak-ju, this madman, right? But the focus is on the politics. It's on the crown. It's on the people. They're not using the zombies. It's not overdone. It doesn't feel gimmicky. It doesn't feel, yeah. It's just intertwined so well that everything comes together just beautifully. So this is without a doubt one of the series that I've been looking forward to the most this this year. So I'm glad it's finally here. No, just a quick catch up. I'm gonna have to relearn a lot of these names because it's been a while since I've actually revisited the series, and it's but last time we left off, I believe Lee Chang was um he was with An Hyun, trying to bolster defense against Cho Hak-ju's forces. But it was at that point I did realize that these zombies, they weren't necessarily just waking up at night. It was the temperature, and so I can't wait to see what is going to what's going to happen next. I believe Bae Duna's character Seo-bi. Again, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing these names correctly. She made a discovery herself when she went to find the plant to try to make a vaccine. But we're not sure. I'm not sure. I'm worried about what her fate might be because I believe when she found the flower, um, she was also surrounded by some zombies as well. I saw the last trailer, the teaser trailer, and I didn't watch the one that followed because I didn't want to spoil anything for myself. But she was in the teaser trailer, so I'm assuming she came out of that encounter alive. Not quite sure how things will go for Lee Chang, but because he's now being there's a horde of zombies now coming towards him, a wave of zombies coming towards him, and he now knows, I'm assuming winter is here now, so there's no way for them to really, there's no break. When there's no sun, the sun is coming. Let's wait for the sunrise so that we can, bolster our defenses again. He doesn't have that option. So I mean, he has joined forces with An Hyun, who I've made many a theories over the past few months trying to figure out what the next move could be. And I've already said in my last, in my reviews for season 1 that I believe that An Hyun and Cho Hak-ju I believe they fought in the war prior to this outbreak, and I believe there was an outbreak before, and An Hyun and Cho Hak-ju, I believe they figured out a way to stop these zombies, and the information was never disseminated to the people, so no one knows that that's what happened. Likely they just killed every single person who had knowledge of it and decided to keep it a secret. And Hyun retreated into the mountainside, and Cho Hak-ju, decided to serve the emperor for his own purposes until he decided, it's time for me to be emperor myself. But that is my theory, that this outbreak has happened before, and both An Hyun and Cho Hak-ju had knowledge of it, and only one of them has now decided, to use this outbreak to his advantage, to manipulate the people and take control for himself. Of course, he's now driven by madness to some extent because Lee Chang killed his son. So there's hope if he makes some mistakes, in his rage, because he's been very calculated so far and has made a lot of mistakes. He doesn't have spies. It's supposed that one of Lee Chang's companions is a spy. I would hate to I'd hate to point a finger at anyone. I hope it's not Seo-bi. My fear is that it may be Mu-yeong because his wife is with the Queen Regent, right? She has now declared herself Queen Regent, and I do believe she has his wife, and quite possibly she will take his son. His wife is pregnant. Mu-yeong's wife is pregnant, and the queen needs an heir. So I suppose she will take his son, and possibly they've threatened to harm his wife if he doesn't comply. I would hate for that to be the case because he's been such a joy to watch on screen. The interaction between Mu-yeong and Lee Chang, some of my favorite moments. But he's the most likely, person to betray the prince for love because they have his wife and his son, right? So that's my only theory at this point. I do hope I am wrong. There's of course the veteran that's with them. I forget his name. Young Shin, who I did question him initially because this outbreak started. It was his fault for feeding the people at the clinic a body, but after that flashback last season, I think he's just a bit misguided, but not so much a traitor per se, right? And I don't believe he would have allegiance to anyone, especially since his entire village was wiped out. So You know, that would kind of defeat the purpose of him aligning himself with Cho Hak-ju for any purpose. So I think the only spy I can think of would be Mu-yeong. But I say that with some hesitation because I don't want it to be the case. All right, I think I've gone on ranting for far too long. So season 2 of Kingdom, guys. Let's check it out. Three years ago.
이것이 죽은 이를 되살린다는. 침에 묻혀 죽은 자의 인당열에 꽂으면 산 사람의 피와 살을 탐하는 괴물로 되살아나는데, 단 천국이 상하거나 죽은 뒤 시간이 지나 부패가 시작된 자는
Can't bring him back.
되살릴 수 없어.
Done some testing to know all of that. They used it to win the war. Is that what happened? Yeah. They had fallen soldiers. Those are all he had, so he used them. Wow. How did they control them though? Because once they're awake, I'm wondering why An-hyun didn't know about this minor detail though, about the temperature. I know where are they even gonna run too much? Too late. Just close the gates. Get back inside and close the gates. Oh, come on. Brave. Like, hell no. Come on, somebody must have an... Wish. Nice. He's not gonna make it. No way he's making it. Oh, impressive. Ah, smart. Set up some pits. It's not gonna hold him for long. Run, man. Run. Alright. They have weaponry. Another kid's been. Oh man. It had to kill him. Damn. Alright. You're on the water safe for now, but he's bitten. Oh man. Yeah, he's gotta go. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's Yeah, man. Well, it doesn't look like Sung-kyu's doing much better. Let's cut the ladders. There's no point at it. There's no point. If Sung-kyu falls, they're all screwed. Oh, okay. They ran into each other. Alright. At least they're together. And where is Seo-bi? A sparrow very quickly. Come on. Alright, looks like only a handful of them are going to make it out of here. Hopefully, and Hye-Jun as well, because he needs to tell the prince everything that happened. Come on. No. I don't know how well that's gonna work. I have a better chance trying to knock off the hinges. Oh, okay. That lock must be rusted. Making a sacrifice. This dude's he's been killing it since the episode started. That would have been a much better idea. MVP, man. MVP. Stop looking, guys. Run. You guys should maybe barricade that area. Seo-bi's alive. Where's the magistrate? He was with her, right? Ah, they couldn't cross the warm water. Now that winter is here, what the hell are they gonna do?
생사초는 찬 곳을 좋아하는 풀입니다. 그 풀의 기질을 그대로 받았다면 햇빛을 온도가 올라가는 것을 지속한 것입니다. 그런데 동지가 지나 해가 떠도 찬 기운이 계속되자 잠들지 않게 돼버린 것이지요.
Stop complaining. Move.
제게 그리 말씀하시지 않으셨습니까? 나으리는 해원초 시인이 무탈할 것이라고요. 문경세제로 가시지요.
이와 함께 발견된 갓난아이는 발견 당시 이미 목이 졸려 숨진 상태였습니다.
Come on.
범인은 밝혀졌는가?
Yeah, the culprit is the queen.
남긴 말이 있다고 합니다. 자신이 기거하던 곳에 사람들이 자신과 아이를 북문박 삼계동의 내선제입니다.
풍문방 내선제라면
Yes,
현주시 가문의 별채 중전마마의 사가입니다.
Chu clan. I thought all of that was actually taking place at the palace, but I guess it would have been suspicious. I don't think we actually got the queen's name, did we?
손재를 눈치챘습니다. 세제로 가신 영상대감께 도움을 청해야 합니다.
Oh,
아버님은
I guess she. Oh, okay. I thought it was the lady telling her everything that was happening. I'm like, she's good for all the authorities as well. So
그리하면 어영청이건 그 누구건 내게 함부로 하지 못할 것이다.
하나뿐인 조카 범파리옵니다. 동네 부사로 취임한 첫날에 괴이한 역병을 만나 겨우 목숨만을 부지해 여기까지 왔습니다. 절 거두어 주시옵소서.
그래. 내가 직접 너를 동네 네 몸에 흐르는 회원조 씨의 피에 고마워하거라. 동네 도부의 부사이며 회원조 씨의 유일한 후계자다. 그에 걸맞는 대접을 해주거라.
저 계집은 어찌할까요?
Say she's.
그것이
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
제가 살아서 얘까지 올 수 있도록 큰 도움을 주었습니다.
Why would you say that?
이승의 유언 밑에 있어.
Oh man.
그것이 사실이냐?
You were just redeeming yourself and then you had to screw up.
그러합니다.
All you had to say was she's your handmaid or something. That's rice, right? Running up.
아껴서 먹는다 해도 닷새밖에 못 버틸 것 같습니다. 피난민들의 숫자가 워낙 많아서.
And you're still keeping secrets.
성한 모든
Yeah.
3년 전에는 일하지 않았습니다.
He managed
그저
to.
이육만을 탐했을 뿐. 물린이가 병에 전염되지도 않았고 해가 뜬 여자를
okay.
밝히지도 않았습니다.
So that's how it didn't spread. It didn't spread by bites 3 years ago.
숨긴 것이 있었습니다.
What's the point of Hye-Jun keeping secrets at this stage when so much is at risk? Obviously, Hak-ju managed to alter the infection somehow, or the flower itself, since that seems to be what determines how they're affected. So he must have secretly manufactured his own version of the plant, of the flower, and did his own testing. I guess that's what Seo-bi found at the site that she was at before. She saw some shackles and stuff like that there. Wait, is that where all the food was? Please tell me that's not where all the food was. Please tell me that's not where all the food was. An explosion says there's still a spy. Maybe that's who did it. So who's the spy? I mean, Mu-yeong was with the prince. What? Why? You're here.
내 아이를 굶어 죽게 할 순 없어서
tried to steal food and
일이 될 줄 몰랐어. 그만 등불을 떨어뜨려서.
Oh man.
굶어 죽거나 저 괴물들에게 물려 다 죽을 거예요.
Not great. And you need to.
들고 있는 것이 무엇이냐?
Nothing.
이리 내놓거라. 어서.
Knew this was gonna happen. This idiot just had to tell them that she was from the clinic.
살려주십시오. 스승님이 병상일지에 적어놓으신 것을 보고 그 풀을 찾았을 뿐입니다.
병상일지를 보았다. 그럼 그것도 알고 있느냐?
That he came to see the king.
죽은 이를 되살리는 방법 말이다.
What? He wants her to create more? I wouldn't be so willing to divulge information to him.
한양에 갈 때 저 아이도 데리고 갈 것이다. 채비를 하거라.
문경세제로 갈 것입니다. 좋아. 저 밖에 괴물들을 뚫고 문경세제로 어찌
There's no
가시겠다는
point in
겁니까?
staying here.
모두를 살리려면 가야 합니다. 최정의 인원들로 뽑아주십시오.
Alright. It's a ninja sneak out mission. Yes, I know this is Korean, so not appropriate, but they look cool as hell. Oh, blood. Draw their attention. Yeah, very careful, man. They're climbing on top of each other. You don't want a World War Z situation here. If I was the prince, I would have demanded some answers before going anywhere with this guy. I wish he would listen. Listen to Mu-yeong. Yeah.
중앙군이 지키고 있을 겁니다.
3년 전 전란 때문에 중앙군의 숫자는 10분의 1로 줄었습니다. 한양에 상주하는 정예병력만 5천 정도죠. 아무리 조각주라 해도 그 병력을 모두 출전시키기엔
제일 가문은 이 북서쪽은 이 성벽이 높아서 지세만으로도 방비가 가능한 곳입니다. 경계가 허술할 가능성이 큽니다.
Yeah, on the other side.
그래서 문경세저로 가시면 어찌하실 생각이십니까?
조학주를
Kill Hak-ju.
죽일 것입니다. 조학주를 단죄하고 내 자리로 돌아가 처참한 굶주림과 역병에서 백성들을 구할 것입니다. 그리고 반드시 살아남아 새 세상을 열 것입니다.
I hope this works. Alright, there we have the first episode of this season. Fantastic episode of Kingdom. Wow. So much information coming at us. First off, before I even forget, I mean, this was revealed at the end of the very first season, of course. I believe it was Seo-bi who said, realized at the end, the very last episode, that it's not the sun, it's the temperature. And there was a bit of a callback to it here where, her exchange with Hak-ju, of course, with the flashback that we saw in this episode as well, kind of, supplementing that my initial theory, which was not 100% accurate, but close enough, and that was that Hye-Jun and Hye-Jun have experienced this before in the war, but it appears as though they both they were losing, right? The emperor was losing the war, and they discovered this flower, and they decided to use the flower to their advantage to take out the opposing forces. However, at the time, they once these creatures were created, they had to be created, they had to be created by hand. So you had to inject the fluids from the flower itself into the back of the neck, and that would create them. But based on what the soldier said, they couldn't replicate by biting another host and creating another zombie. They had to be created themselves. So Hak-ju and Hye-Jun actually created the ones that they had three years ago. But here the numbers are replicating. It doesn't appear to be. I mean, what I suspect happened, and as I mentioned with Seo-bi last season in the very last episode, she saw where she found the flower. She saw some shackles there, which suggested that there were people there being experimented on. And I believe that is where Hak-ju did his experiments. He was testing the flower over all these years, perhaps modifying it, growing new seeds and planting it, and then testing it again on different people. And that's where those are the bodies that he's been dumping to the side at the palace. So he's been refining this, creating a new strain of this flower so that he could create this army that self-replicates, right? It kills one, creates another. And of course, no longer weak to, you know, sun, weak to the sun. So interesting. I'm loving that. Obviously, it was supposed to have died there. You know, as I mentioned, I imagine they dumped all the bodies there to keep it a secret. But Cho Hak-ju had other ideas. He decided he wanted to take control of the throne for himself, and he would use these monsters to do it. And I mean, we can't stress how much, and we see this happen countless times throughout history, but a lot even now in certain territories. We can't stress just how much information is important, and you know, factual information is important. And I have to say that because a lot of these people, we saw in the towns that these people were being fed information that was definitely not accurate, and they thought it was this plague, and they were painting signs on their doors to ward off ghosts and ward off evil, and stuff like that, which doesn't do them any good. And Cho Hak-ju controlling the flow of information himself, he can tell them whatever he wants and they will actually believe it. And that is a dangerous thing. And he's a monster. He is a monster. I have to imagine there must have been easier ways to take control of the throne. You know, could have just poisoned the king, or well, I'm guessing. I'm realizing now that, okay, I don't think the initial plan was to go the route of creating these creatures. I think the initial plan was for his daughter to actually get pregnant and, you know, have a prince, and then he would kill the king. He would kill the emperor, and then she would take control, and her son would be sitting on the throne. So I think that was the original plan. But what happened was that the king ended up dying. The king died before she could actually get pregnant. I'm assuming she can't have kids, otherwise she would have gone a different route to actually get her prince. She could have just had, you know, slept with someone else and had the child. But instead she's using other pregnant women to actually bear her a son. So I'm assuming that she, for whatever reason, she can't get pregnant. Perhaps she's barren or something. So the king died before she could bear a child, and so Cho Hak-ju had to take the most extreme measure in bringing the king back. Bring the king back to life, and pretending as though he's around until they could solve the problem. And then the prince made his move, and then things just got out of hand. So I mean, it's that either he concocted this whole thing and he's been creating his own strain of the flower, or it just evolved on its own as it moved from host to host. That is a possibility as well, but I don't believe that for a second. I believe, based on what we saw in last season at the end with the shackles and things where they found the flower, it's obvious that some experimenting had been going on. So I think he has been experimenting with this flower for quite some time. I would have hoped Hye-Jun, and I'm so angry with him right now, I would have hoped he would have taken a stance at some point, or even monitor the situation, because and he seemed to, not that I recall, Cho Hak-ju did say this in season 1. He said Hye-Jun would never make a move against him. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he did say that. He said Hye-Jun would never make a move against him. Now, what could he possibly have over him that he would refuse to give the information to the prince that the prince needs? What could he possibly have? I don't know. And that makes it difficult to trust him. So while I mentioned before that there's definitely a spy, I'm starting to think that, who knows, maybe Hye-Jun is the one who's been kind of sending information back to Cho Hak-ju. I don't think he would be doing that directly, but I think perhaps, you know, maybe Cho Hak-ju has been monitoring him and he's been monitoring the prince, so he's been finding out what's happening. But I have my doubts now that I don't think it's Mu-yeong. But I have been getting some vibe from Young Sin this episode. In that soldier that he kept just, I don't know, it was as though he felt some sort of guilt for that soldier that was left at the gate. He felt a guilt again when he had to kill him, but we've seen him kill a lot of people. I'm confused as to why he seems so guilt-ridden. right? And then it dawned on me that maybe I was wrong, and perhaps he is the actual spy. I mean, he was sent. I believe he was sent to be to the war, but I figured he'd have forgotten about whatever. I don't think they indicated what he was sent there to do. But now that his village has been completely decimated, I don't see what he could possibly be fighting for anymore. So I don't think it's Mu-yeong anymore. There is a possibility that it is Young Sin, but it's likely that it's not either of them. But I am angry at Hye-Jun for withholding that information. I don't know what Hak-ju could possibly have on him where he's so hesitant to tell the prince everything that has happened. And Seo-bi is alive, thank goodness. Fortunately, she's with Byung-pal, who is, I don't know, I'm waiting for that moment for him to redeem himself, but he's continuously an idiot. His name carries, at the very least, his name is keeping her alive for the moment. But it does appear as though Cho Hak-ju has plans for her, because the doctor died, and I get the impression, he will at some point need a way to get rid of these zombies, because how else is he going to run this new kingdom that he's made for himself? He can't travel freely without losing men, and the numbers would only grow exponentially until it's out of his control. So I don't think he will kill her. He will need her. Once this is all done, he will need her to create a vaccine so that he can get rid of them. I don't think all those zombies can fit in his little pond behind the palace anymore. So he does need a plan there. And so it seems she is it. So she's safe for the moment. Let's see what else happened here. But I don't know. It's rough. It's rough. I know what's gonna happen. The prince is heading to Cho Hak-ju. Cho Hak-ju is heading towards him. They're gonna cross paths at some point, but I don't see how the prince has the numbers. Even if he manages to get in to pass through the gates, I don't see how he has the numbers to take Cho Hak-ju down. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, the queen herself, Queen Regent herself, she got some sort of prophecy that she will have a son in her arms. I don't know, why do you even need a prophecy since you're already just taking someone's baby? So I don't know, I guess to build confidence, so that, she has a way to communicate to the people that I've been blessed with a son, and as few questions as possible might be asked about the whole ordeal. So I suppose it makes sense. But we didn't see, perhaps they haven't gotten to Mu-yeong's wife as yet, right? Since she just got a prediction, perhaps, I guess his wife hasn't given birth yet. So there's still that up in the air as to whether or not, well, I think it will definitely be Mu-yeong's wife who bears the son that she actually needs. For the purpose of the story, it's going to be, because I think Mu-yeong will have to make a choice. Even though I don't believe he is the spy here, he's definitely going to be placed in a position where he's going to have to choose between the prince and his wife. I'm hoping that they will find a way to save her and protect the prince at the same time. But they're lacking the numbers, and An-hyun's numbers are dwindling. They've run out of food, their numbers are dwindling, and this has a lot to do with him not telling him everything he knows. But why? Why won't he tell him? I don't know. All right, I need to watch this 2 or 3 more times. Be sure to post down below, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on the first episode of this season. If you're just as excited as I am to see the remainder, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one.